How often, because I noticed in your 3 month study plan, you have days that should be taken off. Um, would you recommend like, could I take, is that like a day? I mean, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I mean, granted that I already have like experience with the test, do you recommend maybe having like, should I be taking time sections every day or should I be taking days off? Because I feel like I can like manage a day where like I have maybe like 50% less study time, but I don't have diminishing returns by studying. Um, how would you go about, or how often do you think I should take time sections versus the regular LSAT versus just an overview, maybe studying notes and watching foundational videos and these things?
I'm curious about the motivation because I get the sense that you want to do a lot.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So if you were to go for August and you had 5 months between now and then, do you think you need to study every day? And do you think you will study every day?
I will completely. I mean, I will probably burn myself out come August, which is what I'm nervous about. Is that I know that suddenly the stress will come in, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do like 6 hours today, and it's gonna kill me in the long run. So I feel like I don't know. I'm really sort of at odds with whether or not. I mean, the June is obviously, like I said, it's shorter. It's going to be. I mean, I know they say it's not easier, but I feel like it will be easier for me just knowing that there's not an extra section that I have to devote mental energy to. But I also get test anxiety. So maybe the 4 section one will benefit me knowing that maybe the fourth one isn't an experimental one and my nerves sort of decrease as I'm taking the test or something. But
I mean, a possible benefit of the experimental section is that you don't do well on something. You could say, hey, maybe it was the experimental section that doesn't count anyway.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
It's one possible benefit that might serve to relieve some of the anxiety that you could experience. I'm sure you don't need to study every single day. You could take a day off and be fine. And let's be realistic about it. I mean, anything could happen to the point where, like, let's say on a 5-month timeline, like, let's say maybe you get sick one day. Maybe you have the chance to go out of town a little bit for a day or for a weekend or something. Maybe you have a family obligation. Or maybe you just deserve a day off. You know what? Like, maybe you just deserve a day off where you could take it easy a little bit and do something else. I mean, COVID's been a pretty rough time for most people, I think. And I think that just being home, being on devices a lot, like you could go to the park, right? I mean, depending on the weather, I mean, it's possible to just get out a little bit and do something else for a change of pace. And that could clear your mind a little bit.
Okay. It just feels like when I'm not studying, I feel like I'm wasting time. But I mean, that's clearly not the reality. It's actually probably beneficial to step away and then have your mind like readapt.
Is there anything productive you could be doing that isn't LSAT prep?
Yes. I mean, I work full time actually. So like, I feel like my time is like very limited as far as like what I can be devoting to the LSAT. And I try and study like early in the morning for like an hour and then maybe like 2 hours after work and then into the evening, maybe if I can squeeze like 2 more hours in, but typically as the day goes on, I just get progressively worse. My focus and energy is just scattered. But before I started working full time, I was devoting like my full day to just studying. So maybe it comes from that past that I feel like I like when I was in that zone, I was just like, oh yes, I'm completely focused. I have no other obligations. I'm just LSAT, just master this, and I'm the king of the world. But so
I hear that. I mean, you can get there. I believe you can get there by June. I believe you can get there by August. And I think allowing more time always helps. It helps to a point as long as you're not obsessing over it, which I see is certainly a possibility. I can relate myself, as you could imagine. Now,
yeah.
But if you're working full time, at least that will serve as some check on LSAT prep, where it will limit you during those hours. You can't be doing LSAT very much, I'd imagine. But the reason I brought up doing productive things is because I'm also that way, where like I have a hard time doing something that I view as not productive at all. I always want to be working towards a goal and be tracking something in some way to know I'm making forward progress. And so we can try to fight that, or we can see what can you do to channel it in another direction. Like, for example, the admissions side. Even the admissions side is something that will help you on this whole law school journey that isn't doing multiple choice problems. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.